Hey Masterclass, I am Graham/Gramazing, and recently Ryan Joyce made a blog post talking about promotional photos. And along the ways he talks about building a toolkit or a toolbox for yourself for kind of all the content that you're going to slowly be making yourself, or you might already even have. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about creating this toolkit, or maybe even taking the files you already have and organizing them into a toolkit so it's easier to access all your marketing materials. So let's check it out. So if we take a look at my toolkit, I basically break it up into a bunch of different folders. So on my desktop, I have a Gramazing folder, and then within that, I'll put this toolkit, and it's always at the top, so I mark it with 00_toolkit. And then in here, I'm gonna have a bunch of different folders of things. So right now, at the top, I marked it with 00 logos, and this is where you're gonna find my logos that I use right now. Now, I've just dumped these in here kind of for this video process, but you'll see the logos, a couple different formats here. I don't have all the ones that I should have, but a couple of them are there. I also have this folder for stock. Now, this is a lot of footage that I might use for graphic props, possibly press material, things that I've gotten accumulated. This is another thing too, some mock-ups, PSD mock-ups I'll use when I'm creating some content maybe. Moving along here, I've got a document in here. This is a document on my branding, this is my brainstorming that I talk about. My branding values that are specific to Gramazing, the mission statement, all those sorts of things. We can get into that in another video. And then here we got footage. These are clips that I've either recorded myself or I've kind of accumulated. And these are just some of the things. So CHCH, this is a local news channel. I was on a commercial where I did a torn and restored newspaper, so I have that clip here in my toolkit because that's useful for things like my demo reel. I might want to share that with a client. I mean, I also have it on YouTube, so I can share it like that too. Other things here, I did a full fundraiser, and this was actually shot in 4K, so I have all the raw material, all the raw footage, and I can use that for my demo reel. In the footage here, I also have some YouTube videos. These are videos, you should really check out some of the stuff that Joyce has done in the past. But you know, we did some fun dollar store stuff, so I can use these kind of videos in my demo reels and things like that too, which is really fun. And it shows a different side of Gramazing. You know, I don't know if I'll use this anymore, but we got, you know, different fun stuff there. I also took part in a fun YouTube show, so I've got that clip here too. This is another good thing that I could incorporate into the demo reel. Another thing here that I started compiling are the logos of some of the clients that I've worked for. And this is useful because I'm gonna need this for my website and building my EPK, which is gonna be happening really soon. Yeah, I want to acquire these logos so I don't have to search for them later. Photos, I call this one key art. And what the key art is basically, these are gonna be the main photos that you're gonna use for your advertisements. These are some that I've taken myself, and I'm gonna redo these. Yep. Okay, and then we also have some more photos here as well. You know, different events that I've done and things like that. And a good thing that you can do here is sometimes highlight them with a color, the good ones that you want to use maybe. And these, you might find them on my website and things like that. So, you know, this is where you save all your photos and all the cool stuff from a lot of the really neat events that you've gotten to do. So really the idea of this folder is it's that material that you're gonna go to constantly, over and over again, and you wanna be able to access it quick. And maybe this folder could even go onto a cloud folder, possibly on just like a portable hard drive or something like that, so it's really easy to access this material. I'm gonna show you one more thing. This is, for this project specifically, Masterclass, it's kind of fresh, and actually right now, the files are not organized. I need to kind of accumulate them together because I've been helping with a little bit of the editing and some of the back-end stuff here. So I need to organize the files, but for this project, I've started putting it together. I started putting together a little bit of a toolkit and kind of a project folder that we can get through in another video as well if we want to talk specific about project folders. So let's take a look here. When I build a folder for a client or for a project that I'm working on myself, I always have a reference folder too. Because I find when I'm brainstorming things, I just need a folder where I can drag images into it and ideas, or take quick screenshots and dump them in, and that's where I'm going to have my reference folder. We can get into that later, but Toolkit. So for Masterclass here, basically, this is kind of the first project that I'm doing independently for Masterclass. So it's going to go in here into my projects eventually. But the Toolkit, I needed a new account on my computer so that this was all clean and this was fresh. It didn't have gramazing stuff on there. It was Masterclass. So I made this desktop here on the back page here with this cool book and the logo. So I had to get some stock photos. So I went and I acquired some quick stock photos. And I also went through, because this is new, and if you're starting out fresh, I highly suggest relabeling all your files so that you know what they are at a fast glance. That's going to save you plenty of time as well. So, these are a bunch of files that I just kind of accumulated that I might use for the desktop background for Masterclass, and that's just in my Toolkit under stock photos for now. Now, projects. So here's kind of the projects that we have going on for Masterclass. What I've done is I do just a simple labeling process. MM just means Magician's Masterclass, and then underscore the project name, and then kind of a loose date. So just the month and the year I find works for me. So if we look at these projects really quick, the desktop I just made, you're going to find a source files. That's where I'll gather the stock footage from the Toolkit. But in this case, because I have the Toolkit, I don't have to move the files. I don't have to duplicate them to the source files because I know that they're always going to reference the Toolkit. That's where the Toolkit really comes into play. This folder graphics, well, that's my Photoshop file. That's where you keep, your Photoshop files, your Illustrator files, your InDesign files, your Corel files, whatever software you might be using, you'd keep the project file in that folder. And then in the actual root of the whole project, boop, 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 you would have your final thing, which is the desktop for Magician's Masterclass. Here you can see there's also projects for the logo exploration Masterclass, and then the Michael Close project, which is coming very soon, so stay tuned to that. But yeah, that is basically the idea of the Toolkit. The idea of the Toolkit is essentially to organize your files, your key files, the assets for your marketing and promotional materials. That's your logos, your photos, and your footage. And if you do something like this, and you don't have to call it Toolkit, I mean, you call it your toolbox, your lunchbox, your purple goat monkey, whatever you want to call it and you're comfortable with, totally fine. But it's just that idea of getting organized in the back end, because if you're maybe a little more organized in the back end, you'll be a little more professional at all your gigs and your shows like that.